Hello, everyone. This is an unusual type of podcast, and that's okay. Today is January 27, 2026. I'm going to read the welcoming statements of the podcast. Welcome to my podcast, Dragonfly Discussions. You're welcome to enter your name and location you are from. I am thrilled you are listening, and I hope you enjoy this session together. Safe space parameters. Reminder, please use your own safe space parameters amongst the chapters, which I'm not reading chapters today, which I usually read chapters that may arouse emotions or memories of your own. You're welcome to excuse yourself or stay. Those same safe parameters arise for today as I do this podcast. I didn't want to bail on tonight. Tonight was supposed to be entering into chapter 6 of my book, Dragonflies and Discussions. However, some unfortunate, very disparaging events have occurred today, and I don't feel like I can pretend that it doesn't exist. So we will read from chapter 6 next Tuesday at 7 p.m. But today I'm going to talk to you about something that I feel is very incredibly unjustifiably happening in my life. I have been the member of the UU Church of Fresno since 2020. I stepped foot on that premises right around COVID when everything was shutting down and I needed a spiritual place because I myself was at risk of going down a dark hole kind of again, of going down a hole of maybe relapsing. I needed a spiritual home. I didn't have a spiritual home. And I had the Catholic to fall back onto, which I did not want to fall back into the Catholic Church. I'm a recovering Catholic. I was raised Catholic. I don't like the Catholic Church. It's just too judgmental and too pretentious and not really engaging in people. And it's just too get up, kneel down, read. Get up, kneel down, read. And there's no real relationship in the church. So the Catholic Church was just cold and nothing for me, and also very judgmental. Then I tried the Christian church. I got involved with a Christian church right around when I was trying to get help with my addiction 20 years ago. And a Christian church helped me find the rehab that I finally got help with, which was New Life for Girls, which is a Christian-based program. New Life for Girls. They used to have an intro center here in Fresno, which I spent 6 months in, and then it goes off to Pennsylvania, where you spend the predominantly of a year in, and then you might get to go to the other intro centers, which is in Chicago and Maryland and New York and Pennsylvania. There's a lot of East Coast intro centers where you can dedicate your time and then serve about 3 months and then come back to Pennsylvania and then graduate. So New Life for Girls is about a 2-year program where I'm lucky I got my life back, and I now have 21 years sober from heroin. So today has been a very hard day. In talking about Catholic and Christianity, I was struggling without a church for a long, long time. And then I got a massage here in Fresno, and I was telling her how I just needed to find a spiritual place that was beautiful and loving and accepting and would just not be judgmental, right? And so she suggested the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno. And I'd never heard of it. But she said it was just this most loving, accepting place. So I was like, wow, What have I got to lose? Let's try it. So it was around COVID 2020. We all remember the horrendous days when, again, our horrible Trump was president and everybody was dying and everything was shutting down. Our economy, our cities, our businesses, everything was shutting down, right? Because he let this virus become rampant. Whether it was true or not, probably wasn't true, but he made it worse. And we all had to shut down for COVID and become isolated in our houses. We couldn't communicate. We couldn't have any relationships. We couldn't go outside really. A lot of people couldn't even trust the air. I watched people wearing masks out in the air, and it's like, the air is not going to kill you. But I had to accept that this church that I just now joined and found a love with, because the moment I stepped on the premises of UU Church, my spirit felt home. My spirit felt like it was a place where it was beautiful and loving and accepting. And so I was like, why not? Just stay. And so I stayed and I attended the ceremony and I attended the service, and still my spirit resonated that it was really a good place to be. And then all of a sudden COVID happened and we all got shut down and all the churches had to close and everybody had to adapt to online living and existing. And so thank God that the UU Church was very quick to adapt, and they formed an online Zoom ability by their Facebook link and their YouTube link. So I started to attend faithfully every Sunday on Zoom, because this is my new spiritual home. And so I'm like, this is what I got to do, right? And it was beautiful. I had wonderful experiences at home. There was music and I danced and got involved and just got to my spiritual place and got to a place of really feeling like I belong in a new church and a new atmosphere that fit my own thinking too, because I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not a Jesus, we worship Jesus kind of person. I have studied the Bible. I was raised Catholic. I was then Christian. And then for my rehab, for 2 years, all we could study was the Bible. That's all we could study. That was the only book on tests. Every time we had tests, because it was just like college. We had tests and we had school and we had to memorize scripture and we had to study the Bible. And if I didn't know that shit, I wasn't going to pass. So I studied the Bible. So I know the Bible very, very well. And I know the scriptures, and I had to memorize scriptures that were 100 words long. And I still have a little book, a little flip book of what I memorized every day, as I walked along the premises to just study to pass the test. So I know the Bible. So I respect God. God is actually my higher power. God in the universe is my higher power. It is not anything else. And Jesus was a very, very cool dude. He was a very cool social justice activist. He stood up for women. He stood up for anybody who was impoverished, the poor. He spoke for the lower class, pretty much. And so, I love Jesus. Jesus was a really cool dude, and he had his posse, right? The apostles, right? He had his posse. And he had his women that adored him and were so dedicated to him. So he encompassed this circle of trust that he had with him, right? And so, he's facing all kinds of adversity, all kinds of challenges. People are saying like he's the Messiah. And then people are saying, no, he's not the Messiah. He can't be the Messiah. He's a false prophecy, right? And so Jesus is coming across, facing all this shit. But what I learned from studying the Bible was the Bible is full of really great wisdom and knowledge. And that Jesus was just a person just like us, who was brought to this planet with really great adversity. And he fought through that adversity. And unfortunately, he died. Unfortunately, he was hung on the cross for no real apparent reason, just because some Pharaoh was jealous of his abilities. And so he was killed. Just like we're seeing people now, killed for no reason, right? And he was speaking the truth. He was speaking love. He was speaking, be peaceful, be loving, be accepting, be helping, be, community, and work together. And so Jesus really wasn't a threat. He was not a threat. He was only a threat because those who were inferior or jealous or didn't have it in themselves and saw Jesus as a threat, they then put their own punishment on Jesus. And they ultimately killed him, which is really sad. So I don't worship Jesus because if you read the Bible, if you really understand Jesus he was against idolatry and he didn't want to ever be idolatized. So for y'all who are putting Jesus up on a pedestal, you know what? Jesus never wanted that. And you're actually, defacing him in a way and disregarding him and disrespecting him in a way by doing that. So don't do that. Just be accepting of the fact that Jesus was given to us as an example of God. God didn't have any other idea to connect to us rather than give us a human example of how to be good, how to be loving, how to be fair, how to be just, how to be just a human being. So he gave us Jesus as a human flesh example, just like you and I. We could be the example of Jesus, right? So he gave him that. He gave us that as an example of who we can become. And Jesus died on the cross. So he died this horrible way unjustly, which really should speak volumes too, because we should respect the fact that he didn't want to be idolized. And we should learn from the example that God gave us. Go to God first and look at that example and try to become that example as best as we can. And we are humans and we're going to fail just like Jesus fell into temptation. We're going to fail. He showed us all of it, right? He showed us all of it. So my point, I'm getting sidetracked, but my point tonight is that I really wanted to find a church where I could never not question. Where I could never not question, and I still don't question the UU faith. I now question the people who run the UU church. Because us humans can fall into egotism, control, power. Just like President Trump, I hate to say it, but he is consumed by power and control and egotism. And it can happen in any church. And any leader of the church, it can happen to. And I've been a member of the church the UU Church of Fresno for 6 years. And I just came in very innocently, like, let me just be. And then I signed a bunch of like papers that you fill out as a new member saying, oh, what's your talents? What's your interests? What's your all this stuff? And then that person threw me into all kinds of other things, and other things contacted me, and I got involved and I got involved and I got involved and I got involved and I got involved. I got involved so much. I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I loved it. I loved every bit of volunteering with the church, but it was overwhelming, but I was handling it. I was managing it. It was fine because I don't have kids. I'm not married. I don't have any other responsibilities other than my cats and myself. So it was fine for me. I was balancing it with my own personal life, right? And then everything changed. I have been from the past 5-6 years, I went from being the Reverend sidekick on a youth group team. That ended because the kids grew up. It was kind of high school and they grew up at a high school. So that ended. And then I was a part of the adult religious exploration team. I helped on that team for a little bit. And then I became team lead. And then I led that for a long time and I was very successful. And then they found that I needed to be better suited on the pledge drive team. So at the same time, I'm serving, multiple teams, and I'm on the pledge drive team, just figuring out the rows. And I've been serving on the pledge drive team for, I saved my first brochure, I think it was 2021. So then, 2024, 25, I get asked to lead the pledge drive team. And then I'm also on the social justice team, the IAF team, which is the Industrial Areas Foundation team, which dedicates itself to underprivileged neighborhoods and areas here in Fresno that the public and the city council doesn't want to recognize and give money to, but they matter. And then I took on the Holiday Gift Bag Project team, which is also under the social justice team, which serves 2,500 women in Chowchilla Prison. I became the liaison of that. The church needed a liaison, so I jumped on board of that. I've been on the leadership team. I have served in the kitchen. I then led the M&M team for about 2 or 3 years. That's a team where you do the funerals and the birthdays, which is a very special position to hold. And in all of my time participating and volunteering with the church, and I am a pledging member, a paying member, I get accused. I get accused of harassment, discrimination, making staff feel unsafe, and acting inappropriately. And this is all by email. I have done this by email. And so I'm like, wow. These are some pretty serious charges that I'm being charged with. So I want to see the proof. I asked for the proof. I said, show me the emails. Show me where I did these things that are harassing, discriminatory, because I know I have not done any of such things. They have no emails. They have no proof. They have nothing. They have nothing. And so again, as a person 20 years ago who was a convicted criminal and who was charged of many, many crimes, stealing, fraud, drug possession, running from the law, violating probation, in all of those charges, I had proof. They showed me the proof. It's just common sense, or it's just common law in a court system that you are given the proof. The police take records. There's all these kind of records. There's evidence that's taken. And so then that's brought to you. And so then your public defender says, okay, Cheyenne, this is what the DA has. This is what the police have on you. This is what they have found. And this is what your charges are. And this is all the evidence stacked against you. So you get to see everything. And you're like, okay, I see and I read it. And yeah, it's true. It's true. And I pled guilty most of the time because I knew I was guilty, because I saw the evidence. And I didn't even really need to see the evidence, but I saw it and I'm like, yeah, I'm guilty. But yet with the UU church, they're charging me for things that I have not seen the proof of. They said I've sent emails of discrimination and harassment. I've asked them for the proof. There is no proof. They then brought me into a board. This was all in a board meeting on August 5th. And they slammed me with all these accusations. And I'm like, where's the proof? They don't have any proof. And they want me to sign this document. And I'm like, I'm not signing this document. According to me, what I know in the past is in court, you can RTS, which means refuse to sign, which is illegal. It's a legal way of saying no contest. I'm not guilty. I refuse to sign, which should be the same with the church. However, I've now learned that the church is way outside the law. Way outside the law. And nobody wants to go against the church because the church has special legal rights, I guess. I don't even know how this even is plausible, but it's true. Because I have sought lawyers and I have tried to seek legal advice to go against the church, and they want nothing to do with it. Because I know I'm innocent. I know I have not sent any emails to deserve discrimination, harassment, and all of this shit that they're accusing me of. I know I have not. And I CC myself and save it all into emails and into files. So I keep everything. So I did a search of my own emails, and I did a hard search on my emails to search for all of this evidence, and I didn't find a thing. A thing. So I'm like, so show me the evidence. Like, why is it wrong for the church to just show me the evidence? So I don't understand. There's something a little fishy going on as to why the church doesn't want to show me the evidence of discrimination, harassment, making staff feel unsafe, and acting inappropriately. And again, I'm just a volunteer. I'm not a staff. I'm not a paid staff. I'm just a paid church member. I'm not even a paid. I'm just a paying church member. Like, have you heard of any church doing this? So this has been my past year and a half existence with the UU church. And I've tried to stand my ground. I've tried to defend myself. I've tried to ask for the proof. I've also been retaliated against by said accuser, because the said accuser for all of this is Mariah of staff, who doesn't like me holding her accountable. And what happened was, I was on the team of M&M, which I said I shared all these teams that I was on. So the M&M team needed me to correlate communication with Mariah. And I tried to communicate with Mariah, but Mariah just could not even give me 8 a.m. the day before the funeral of the details. Like, I'm asking 24 hours. She couldn't even give me that. So I had to meet with Tim. I asked Tim, the reverend of the church, to hold her accountable. And he said he would, but he didn't. And she didn't. And it got worse, and it got worse, and it got worse. So I quit. So now I'm being charged with all this stuff. And Mariah's an African American. I'm a white person. The UU Church supports BIPOC, Black Lives Matter, and majority, 90% of Tim's staff is Black. So they have a lot of teams and education against white supremacy. So I feel reversely discriminated against. Honestly, I feel wrongly attacked. And I feel that I deserve to understand why Mariah would feel like I'm discriminating against her, why I'm harassing her, why I'm making her feel unsafe, and why I'm acting inappropriately. I would like to know the proof and show me the emails and how I've done that. Because if this is just a professional issue, then you should be able to provide that. Or if this is a black and white civil racial issue, then that encompasses a whole nother issue. And that's why I can see why you would not want to give me any evidence, because it would be in my favor. It would be in my favor because I'm innocent. I'm innocent. So today of all days, after they pressured me to try to meet them in person, and I said, no, I'm not going to meet you in person. I'm not going to get sabotaged with evidence that you're accusing me of, or with accusations you're accusing me of with no evidence. So no, you can take me to court, or we can, we can talk about this. So they today slapped me with, I am not allowed to come onto the UU Church of Fresno premises. I am banned from all the projects that they allowed me. So on October 5th, when they first punished me, they stripped me from everything. And I chose to stay with social justice and holiday gift bag. So now, due to their new accusations, now I'm banned from the UU property, and I can't be a part of holiday gift bag or social justice. Does that sound like a church that is loving inclusively, growing spiritually, serving gratefully, and working for justice? Love inclusively, grow spiritually, serve gratefully, and work for justice. That's like our preamble. So I have dedicated 6 years to volunteering, working my way through all the avenues and volunteering on all these teams, showing how good of a person I am, how professional of a person I am, how fair of a person I am, how loving of a person I am. And then all of a sudden, because I have conflict with Mariah through the M&M team, now I'm accused of all of these things, and now I'm punished. Now I'm punished and put on a 1-year probation, and I suddenly violated that, and now they're putting me on a 3-month stay off the property and out of all the teams that they allowed me to. And then see how you behave, and then maybe you can come back. What does that sound like? What does that sound like? And I have talked to many of the congregation already, and they say that sounds like just hypocrisy, and they themselves want to leave the church. Which rightfully so, because if this is how the Unitarian Universalist Church of Fresno and Rev Tim wants to be, then yeah, I would say we don't need to be a part of that. I don't deserve to be treated like this. I deserve some answers. I deserve some evidence. I deserve some equal opportunity to defend myself and see how I can rectify it and apologize and own up to it and, go from there and have an opportunity of healing, because obviously Mariah's hurting. I know she's hurting. She's still retaliating on me, on my book, on personal life that they won't see too. She has personally retaliated on my book on Amazon. So she's got a vendetta against me. Like, this girl is just wicked. So you've won, Mariah. You've won. You have won. Congratulations. Good job. Give it up. I'm not after you. I just wanted you to be a decent human being and work together, for the M&M project, but you couldn't even do that. And I know you're stealing. You're probably stealing from the church. Probably still are stealing from the church. I saw a lot through the pledge drive. It is so baffling and hurtful to see of a church treat its people like this. And I'm not the only one. In fact, I'm not the only one who has been ostracized and treated inappropriately and pushed out and not appreciated for their value and the content that they may bring to the table, even though it's ruffling some feathers. It's still really good insight, but I can see how they only want a certain amount of people. They only want a certain classification, a certain dynamic of people. And then they see new people coming in. It's like, I can suck your brain and I can manipulate you and I can make you do what we want you to do. And I can, you can fill all these roles and blah, 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 blah. And then once you disagree, just spit you out. Spit you out. We don't need you. We don't like you. Goodbye. And we're going to ostracize you and kick you off the property. Kick you off the property and take away every program. And the program for the women for Chowchilla Holiday Gift Bag serves 2,500 women in Chowchilla prison for Christmas. They're taking that away from me. So now you're going to punish that? Like, what does that say about this church? It's just baffling. I've been crying. I've been angry. I'm just baffled. I just don't even know what to do. I don't even know what to do because basically they just want me to shut up, be quiet, and disappear. And then the UU board is just following suit, just following anything Tim wants to say to them and tell them to do because it's been recorded and heard that Tim has said the board will do whatever I tell them to do. Wow. Who does that sound like? Who does that sound like? I'm really sorry to disappoint anyone who thought the UU Church of Fresno was something. I think the UU faith is still really something to believe in, and that's what I'm not going to lose sight of because the UU faith, like if you separate the pastor, reverend, and all that minutia and the church, if you look at the UU faith is founded on a really dynamic spiritual level. They like the Darwin, and they like Henry David Thoreau, and they like, I also do, finding your spirituality with nature. So that's why I really gravitated to the UU, was because of those elements, was because I'm not really a religious person. I'm not really I don't need to have my faith in a building per se. I find my spirituality with people and with communication and with relationships, but really I find it in nature. My connection is in nature. And in fact, today I saw three hawks that were on different posts, light posts, as I was traveling through the city on the highway. And they're like my spirit animal. And so spirituality can be anything. Like it doesn't have to fit within the parameters of a structure. So that's what you taught me, was the holistic, the meditation, the expansiveness of nature, and being appreciative of the sacred ground that we live on. UU is on Yokut's Native American land. So, they try to honor that, and not using paper products and all these plastics. And that's what the M&M team was trying to encompass and keep hold to. But Staff Mariah just wanted plastics, buy everything. And it was just counterproductive to what we were really trying to uphold, our principles and our values. But no, I mean, it doesn't have to be you. It doesn't have to be anything. It could just be you. I think that within ourselves, we have the ability to have our own church. If you're in tune with the universe, if you're in tune with spirituality, if you're in tune with the atmosphere and like different things happening, like animals and love and people and just things that come across your day, if you can look at that in a way that might be sending messages, it's kind of beautiful to navigate throughout the day. And for me, I feel that there's something greater than me, greater than all of us, that we may not be able to understand or explain. I don't know how to explain it either. But I know that there have been miracles that have happened in my life that I shouldn't be here if for not that miracle. And so I've witnessed things, I've been shown things that I can't explain, but it's only by faith and it's by phenomena. And so I choose to believe in something bigger and better and loving and encompassing and guiding, and that there's a purpose for all of us, no matter what path we walk on. No matter how hard it may be, that your church that you love so much might be disappointing you so much, well, then maybe that's opening up a door for another way of another spirituality or another path, or, it's okay. And I'm not going to fall apart. I'm not going to fall apart just because my church might not be supporting me anymore and might be accusing me in a horrible way. I'm not going to give up on myself. I'm not going to stop doing what I want to do and all the things that I have dreamed for, because the church has helped me hone into my own spirituality within myself. Has helped me stable myself and become secure within myself and have a real strong. And I put my hands together for a reason, because this is a really strong person, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. I'm okay, and I will be okay. And the church will be okay once I leave. If I leave, like the Holiday Gift Bag Project will be okay. Everything's going to be okay. The women in prison will be okay. Everything will be okay. And I just have to just endure this, even though I still feel that it is wrong how I'm being treated. And I can't believe that this is happening, but it's happening. And I got to continue with me. And that's what you all need to do, is continue with you. Stay strong no matter what tornado comes your way that just uproots you from everything that you thought you knew. Try to go back to who you know you are, and believe in yourself and trust in yourself and trust in that the universe and God and the powers beyond us will guide us on our path where we're supposed to go. So I'm really happy to have had this time with you. It's been 45 minutes almost, and I'm probably going to cry some more, but I feel I'm done. I feel good. I expressed myself, and we're going to just resume back on schedule next Tuesday with chapter reads. I do have a really important speaking engagement coming up February 2nd. It's going to be a live presentation of me in front of I don't know how many women, and it's going to be like a spiritual place up in the foothills here in Fresno, and it's going to be me sharing my story. So that will be playing on February 2nd at 5:30. So if you want to stay, if you want to tune in for that, I'd love all the support. And then February 4th, which I believe is Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday. I'm taking the day off to interview my friend Mars, who is a spiritual intuitive massage therapist. And she literally has such hands of miracle power. She can just, you lay on the table and she feels all your energy and all your tension and everything that you're dealing with, and she just works it all out in your body, and she just releases all of that, and it's just candlelit, and it's so soothing. So, and she's been through traumatic steps in her life as well. I won't say anything, but her path has been very miraculous. She was actually one of my first podcast interviews at CMEX Studio, where I was testing the waters and I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And you can see bloopers because you can see me on one camera and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is the camera looking at me? I don't know what I'm doing. And we start talking. It's really actually funny. So this is actually going to be part two with me and Mars on February 4th. And then, yeah, we'll just continue on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Chapter reads until we're done. And then I have some stuff stored after that. So I really appreciate your support. I don't know who's watching, but I really appreciate the support, and live fully, love yourself, believe in yourself. Don't ever give up. I'm not giving up. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. Good night.